by getting out a sheet of paper, and we're going to try to make a square piece. So I want you to take the bottom right corner and flip it up and try to line it up with the edge. You see, it's like if I cut off that rough edge. So I'm just going to try to line it up there. And if I crease it like this and draw a line at the top, this should be a square. Okay, so now I'm going to cut off the rough edge and cut on this line, and I should be left with a square. Okay, so I cut off that rough edge, I cut it, and now I have a square piece. Now don't get rid of this scrap piece, we're going to use that later. Okay, so now we're going to make a couple more folds. Let's make another diagonal on this square, so let's fold it like this. And so now we have like an X. And now we're going to fold it and make like a cross, a vertical and a horizontal line. So let's fold it up. Try to be precise. Okay, and then we're going to fold it here to make a vertical crease. All right, so we should have a bunch of folds in our paper. Okay, so let's take a ruler or a straight edge or whatever we have to make some light pencil lines where those creases are. So I have a vertical line, a horizontal line, one diagonal, and two diagonals. Okay, so now we're going to make a smaller square out of this piece of paper. So I can tell that this is the one I cut because it's not exactly straight. So this is the one that came out of the factory, right? So I'm going to use this edge. I'm going to fold over and make sure it lines up at the bottom so that this crease will be straight like it needs to be. So I lined up the bottom and I made a crease. Okay. So now I want to cut this strip. Don't need this anymore. I just need this small piece. Now I'm going to fold this corner. Remember, this corner hasn't been cut. This came from the factory. I'm going to fold this up. Line up this edge with this edge. See, I'm folding it up to make a square. Now normally we wouldn't do all this. We'd have some other way of doing this, but this is because we don't have copies that I can hand out, that you've got to do everything on your own. The only thing I can do is make a video, okay? So let's cut that. We traced where that line was, and let's cut. So now we have a smaller square. So we're going to make another diagonal by folding it the other way. Okay, so now we have a tiny square with like an X in it, okay? All right, let's go back to this piece. We're going to find where we're ultimately going to put this square in every single square. But we have to figure out exactly where to do that. So let's start on the right side. We're going to fold this right side to this middle vertical line. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing on the left side. We're going to fold this to the middle vertical line. Now we're going to do the same thing at the bottom and fold it up to the middle horizontal line. And the same thing at the bottom, we're going to fold it down to the middle horizontal line. Now, we don't need to go over with pencil. With these, actually, we got a couple more folds to do. Yeah, we got a couple more folds to do. Or do we? Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, we do. Okay, sorry. All right, it's a lot. So let's fold this corner, the top right corner, down to the center. And that makes a diagonal there. So we have an X in there. Fold this down. Fold this up to the center. And fold this up to the center. Whoops. Try to be precise. Okay. Now we've got a space to put our mini square. So let's look closely. Let's start at the top right. So I'm going to try to line this up. Do you see how I've lined up this crease with this diagonal line? And this crease is lined up with this diagonal line. That means that this square is perfectly in the center, and I'm going to hold it down and trace this mini square. So that when I'm done, I have a square right there. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing, moving down. I'm going to line it up so that everything looks like it's in the center. Right? You see how that line continues on the crease? This crease continues there. So this is in the middle. Let's trace our little square. All right, we have a square. And over here, same thing, line it up so you know where to trace it. Same thing here, line it up so you know where it goes. All right, so now there are a couple more lines we need to draw in before we start shading. We need these diagonals here. So we need this diagonal, and this diagonal, and this diagonal, and this diagonal in pencil. So take your ruler, line everything up, and draw your line. That one's not exactly right. You see, it didn't really go through the corner. It's okay. We're just gonna roll with it. All right. So here is what it should look like. And what we're going to do now is find a clean spot in our sketchbook, and we're going to glue it down. We're going to glue it down because we don't want it shifting when we're shading. So get your glue stick out and get it secure. Don't let it hang off the edge. You should be able to butt it right up to this rough part, and it should fit on your page. So once you have it glued down, it should look like this, and when we start to add value with our pencil, it shouldn't shift and we shouldn't have to hold it with our hand. It should be secure.